G'day guys, Calvin from the Cartoon Company. I've been setting up the blue engine. It's got the link on it, it's got the wiring is fitted. Yes, there is wiring in there, you can see it all of course. Got the fuses done and the battery cables done. Now the blue engine's going into a boat, but it doesn't have a dash. There isn't a setup. Well, the gauges were pretty old, pretty scruffy. And it's quite a bit of an expense by the time you set up different gauges and the wiring and the setup. So we're going to go for something a bit simpler. And I went and bought a Microtech dash. Simple, they're only little, comes with the GPS unit, and we're going to configure that to run with the Link ECU. I've got some wiring to do, some setup time to do, but I'll show you a little bit about what I'm doing on this one and how easy it is to run this little dash with the Link ECU. Let me do some prep, do some setup, we'll come back into this. I now have my dash all wired up, my engine, the ECU is over on the engine, mounted to the engine because this is going in a boat. So the ECU is over here on the engine, and this is, again, it's going into a boat, hence it's in a box. ECU is mounted on the engine. We're using a Link Monsoon. Let's just turn it on and see if it powers up to begin with, shall we? As I said, this is a new install. Woo, we have a dash. As it's powered up, we'll turn that off and we'll just show you that again. Ooh, look at that. Into the CAN hub, it doesn't matter where the power goes, which are the plugs, they are all the same. It communicates to the dash via this cable here, which is plugged in, and there is the GPS as well. So I've got the GPS unit. Oh, it's magnetic. That's really handy that that's magnetic, considering it's a fiberglass boat. Oh well. That's what double-sided tape is for. So the GPS will plug into that one, and that will give us speed on the boat. Powered up, and the smoke didn't get out, so I'm happy. So the CAN wires are connected to the ECU. I've got a very long cable. It's about 4 meters long. So I am pushing the limits of the setup, but my wiring goes into a multi-plug, through the boat's wiring, or the body wiring of the boat, through the hull, up into a multi-plug before it goes into the ECU. We're using a Link Monsoon, but all the Link dashes will communicate in the same way. I don't need to put in a 120k resistor. It is in the dash unit itself, so we're fine there. There's no need to add an additional resistor, terminating resistor. Then there is a black wire which gets earthed, and a 12 volt wire which gets voltage via a fuse. All that's really simple. Connect it up. We then connect this wire which plugs into the back of the dash. This one is an acknowledge button, and it changes the screens like that. There we go. That's the one we want to sit on. It doesn't matter which of the plugs on the little CAN bus unit, CAN hub unit that they're plugged into. They all work the same. And there's a couple of lights on it which tell you if it's powered up. Those ones down there. To communicate with the dash, use the correct software. If you've got about a 3 or later version, this is a 3.6, then use the handset editor. You don't have to plug it into your laptop. You can do it all manually on the actual unit itself. So you can push here, it brings up screens. Then scroll through different screens. Okay, so you can do all the setup there, which is exactly the same as I'm going to use on the laptop. I prefer to use the laptop because it's a bit faster and a bit easier. You don't need any Microtech dongles or anything. Just as long as you use the right software, you will go in. The first thing I'm going to do is set up the ECU, the link. So let's have a look at that to begin with. We'll get into the laptop and see what. I'm going to simultaneously have two software programs open. So I'm going to connect to the dash first, connect system. Now if I just go connect system now, it tells me that the COM port is not available. The best way to do connect system, go to properties, go over this, check available ports. Number 3. Set this to number 3. I'm going to leave the maximum speed where it is, push OK, and hopefully we will connect. Apparently this needs to be plugged in. So we'll try that again. It's quite funny how the wires have to be connected. And check available ports. We can see that there's 2 ports available, and I was fairly certain that the front one was port 3. So I'm going to go with port 7. I've got the link ECU attached as well, so that might be confusing it. And then just you can either connect system here, or just push the spacebar. Or push the spacebar. Wow, we're in. So I've got this attached, and over here we've got the link ECU attached. Going to go up here, and we go down to CAN setup. And at the same time, I'll just see if I've got it open. I don't. I'll just pop out of there for a minute. We've got this help file, wiring information, and I've already got Microtech dash in here, and it brings up device specific information. Microtech dash, and here we have some information about it. So we're going to go back to the link and CAN setup 1 megabit Microtech LTC dash. Just going to have a look at the recommended frequency. And it says here it's fixed to 25 Hertz, so it doesn't actually matter what you put into it. So we're reading in our help file. It says right here, set CAN identifier of 16. Going back into here, I just popped out of there. CAN setup, Microtech dash, ID 16, and over here on normal. Apply, OK. Store that to the ECU, and look what happens. You don't need to change anything in that Microtech dash. Over here, I've done that. Need to connect this again. Now there are other ways of setting this up, and I'll show you that as well, just to give you options if maybe something isn't coming through your data stream that you need. I'll show you what we do. So option 2, CAN setup. Instead of using Microtech LTC, just use a generic dash. Generic dash. Change that ID to 1000. apply that, and OK. Pop over to Microtech dash and find screen page 15. Page 15, screen 4. Push the little mode button. OBD2 CAN, M84, M800. It'll probably work on that actually. Haltech. Put it on link CAN like that. Do that. And then we cycle the ECU. Turn the power off. And I have to do this again. And the dash is being powered by the laptop. I've got a feeling I did not save it. I've just saved it in the link, and there we go. Generic dash. We have some information. Let's see what else we've got here. We'll push this little button. Battery, air temp. Where's screen 1? Is that screen? That's screen 1 there. So there are different ways that you can get your link to talk to your Microtech dash. I actually got the story about how it all happened, and there was some reverse engineering and people copying Motec stuff, and it kind of all worked. And that's all good. As long as it works, we're happy, and we've got the information that we need. I'm going to go back to the recommended way, the way that's in the help file. And using that help file is a really great way of setting this stuff up, because most of the time it's right. So I just very quickly can set up, change it off, generic dash, back to LTC, CAN ID 16, apply, OK. We're going to save that, store to ECU, and over here, we've got to find page 15. If you're having trouble with the pages, in the instructions, it actually has got like the flow chart of tables. So it goes down like this. So it gives a bit of an idea, and it's got information about each page. If you haven't used a Microtech before, some of this stuff may be a little bit foreign. However, if you take a little bit of time, you get to know it, you get it sorted. I'm just flicking this back to Microtech, pushing OK. I'm just doing some cycling. And we have it back. Interesting to note that map level is a little bit different to different settings. So when I had it on generic, it was at 0. I'm going to look in the runtime values and just see what it is actually at. 14.1 PSI. And that's why it's important to just double check on things. So I've just changed it to Microtech M800 from generic dash, and it's actually given me the correct map figure. That's probably because it was the Microtech stuff that was reverse engineered, because this is a Australian product and Microtech is Australian, so it kind of makes sense. So you can use multiple ways. However, probably the best way is just to leave it on Microtech setup. So I probably should change that back. Interesting enough, I can actually cycle the power by leaving the laptop attached, and it does cycle properly. Okay, we've got a stream from our ECU to our dash. But we want to change something. So on this one, I've got map PSI right here. I've got TPS here. I've got AFR here. I don't want AFR because we're not running it. We're going to push mode. I don't want lambda, and I'm going to just work my way through. I could do with a battery voltage, because that would be a charging voltage. And that could probably be quite helpful. Field 4, TPS. I want oil pressure. I'm just going to change it. I push the little mode button, and I got to work my way through oil P. Oh, that was close. That's good. And field 1. Map PSI. I think probably TPS is going to be a good one for that point. So we're just going to change that around. TPS. Perfect. So now I have that main screen, what we want. We'll move to the next screen. Air temp, battery voltage, fuel pressure we don't have. Injector milliseconds, probably not quite what we want. So I'm going to have a swap around of that one too. Just going to put water temp, and I'm actually going to move along to this one and put a duty cycle. Injector duty cycle is what I want. That screen I'm going to leave as it is. EGTs, I don't have any. I'm just going to leave that. On the top of the dash, we've got 4 shift lights. So in a car, those shift lights might be handy, and you can set them up in the LED department here. Because this one's in a boat, I can set them pretty low. They're not really that helpful. We can't actually change gear. We don't have a gearbox. We have a jet unit. And I don't expect it to spin past about 5.5. It'll be nice if it gets up there. We also have some alarms. I've gone through and set up some alarms. Pretty much at a point now where I need to run the engine and double check everything. Put it in a boat, check the calibration's all good. One of the really neat things about this dash is I don't need a laptop to set it all up. It's kind of got its own built-in hand controller on the dash itself. And that's really cool. Takes a little bit to get your head around them, but for a cheap alternative, they're a really great option. And I've seen guys spend a lot of money setting up gauges, and this has what we needed on it. I'm going to put this on the ground, make it go, check the engine runs, finish off that calibration, and I'll bring back, and I'll pop back and just show you the dash all working. So there's the dash, up and running. with a running engine.